First play of the game for the defense, Falcons have an opportunity to make a big interception with this quarter half coverage, this cover 6 coverage. Jesse Bates doesn't respect the vertical threats of the Eagles offense because they're out there with 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. He's not exactly, worried about those guys deep down the field, so he makes the call that he's going to cheat up, try to jump a route. Really has an opportunity to, just doesn't quite make the play. Really surprising to me. This is something I usually would expect him to make. And luckily for us, he made a great other plays in this game. So let's go ahead and talk about the coverage real fast. This quarter half coverage. What does that mean? What is the actual responsibility? So the best way to think about it is in terms of deep areas of the field. So you have 3 deep zones, and you have kind of break it in half here. So if it helps for you, draw a line here, and you're basically playing a split field coverage, right? So one side of the field is playing one thing, the other side's playing a different thing. So one side of the field is going to be playing cover 2, kind of with this cloud technique with the corner, carrying the receiver, and when he gets to a certain depth, you're going to release him to the safety. On the other side of the field, you're going to see, we're playing that quarters coverage where, each of these 2 players here is responsible for a quarter of their half of the field. So it's a quarter half coverage. And what happens here is Jesse Bates is making the call when he sees this player kind of release inside. He's reading the field. He's like, I don't think, I'm worried about this tight end here kind of booking it vertically on me. I think he's going to come up and do what he does, which is he comes up here and he kind of stops. So Jesse Bates is making the call that I'm going to jump this. So let's go ahead and play it out. We'll talk about it. We'll watch it. So right here, outside player, quarter player, he's carrying it. You got your half field safety, you got your cloud technique right here. And if I told you, let's watch Jesse Bates. If I told you Jesse Bates jumped this route, you'd believe me. You would probably believe he got a pick 6 here. What I think happens here is I think he's expecting this tight end to really break inside, and he doesn't really do that. What he does is he kind of just stops and comes back to the ball, kind of like a hitch. So I think Jesse Bates, he kind of overshoots it here, and he goes 2 inside, expecting the tight end to release inside. Slight miscalculation, but that's the NFL here. They get the play. It's still a tight window throw. It's a good throw from them. We'll give it to them. This is the play I think Jesse Bates usually makes in this quarter half system. That's one of the advantages. It really enables him to kind of read the field, make some of these plays, cheat down, which he loves to do. He loves to cheat, kind of abandon his traditional responsibilities to make plays on the field. Got a fun one here. We're going to be breaking into the Falcons defense, particularly what they're doing in the red zone with their coverages. They're going to be making a box call here. We're going to break into what that means. The Eagles come out in 11 personnel with the 3x1 wide receiver set. So the big thing with these 3 wide receiver stacks is it just presents a lot of problems for the defense in terms of sorting things out. You don't know if they're going to send their inside receiver to the outside release and, kind of create leverage in that way. You don't know if they're going for a pick route. So there's a lot of different factors that you're trying to deal with in the red zone in particular against some of these 3x1 formations. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a call that gives our defense the ability to kind of navigate it a little bit easier, to kind of put less stress on our linebackers, to kind of just help everybody out. So what are we doing defensively? What is the box call? Let's break into it. So right here, it's going to shock you, but the box call plays out a little bit like a box. So you have 4 defenders over 3 receivers. So these are our box players. You have your 3 receivers here. So essentially how these responsibilities work out is you have one player responsible for the first up and outside route. So this kind of area over here. The safety is responsible for the first up and inside routes. So we're talking vertical routes when I say up and out, up and in. We're talking vertical releases. So if a receiver goes up and outside, it's the corner. If it goes up and inside, it's the safety. You're also going to have these players underneath. So you have your kind of nickel back here. He's playing the first underneath and out. So the first low and out, essentially the flat area, and then the linebacker is playing the first inside and low route, which we see here. So we'll drop what the Eagles are trying to do and how we are able to navigate this pretty well. So they're essentially trying to draw this safety and create a throwing window on the backside with this kind of skinny post. So this is what they're doing concept-wise, and the goal here, like I'm talking about, is to draw this safety over, because this is an inside vertical route, but we know we have hope on the backside with Jesse Bates. If the safety doesn't take the bait, they do a good job squeezing this. So right here, this is the safety knowing where they want to go with this. He knows he doesn't have to worry about this player because he's not getting truly vertical into the end zone. So right here, he's helping his outside corner who's playing this, squeezing it. There's no window to throw here. So we get late into this down. We made the box call. Jalen Hurts has to try to make a play with his legs. We make a good play in coverage in the end zone, breaking it up, potentially had a pick. So it's a good play. This is all what defense is about. It's about giving your defenses tools to address what the offense wants to do, because we're not going to go out there and just play base coverage. We need to respond to what the offense wants to do with our coverage calls and kind of adjust. So we get a good one here, good pass breakup. It's not on screen because I don't know what the hell the cameraman was doing, but it was a good play. Nothing crazy about this one. We're just going to see cover one, man coverage across the board. The secondary does a great job holding up. You have Troy falling, the running back to the flat. We also get some pressure from the defensive line, forcing Jalen Hurts to kind of scramble, try to make a throw on the sideline, and we really almost come up with a pick on third down. So this was a huge one for me. Fun to watch, fun to see this defense just vary its coverages. We're not always running cover three. We've run a lot of cover three, but we're not always running it. Sometimes we're running cover one. Sometimes we're running that quarter, half stuff you saw earlier, and then sometimes we're just running quarters. So a lot of different fronts. Still predominantly cover three, but right here you're not going to see cover three. You're going to see cover one man. Pretty simple. Everybody's manned up. Troy's on him, and then you're going to see Caden Ellis here. He's going to drop back, and he's on Hurts, is how I'm reading this. He's essentially the spy, also playing kind of his zone, just ready to follow Hurts wherever he goes. And then you have Jesse Bates here playing his deep portion of the field. So this is just our guys are better than your guys. We're going to man up. When the offense does this, they're trying to hunt certain matchups. We hold up really well on the back end here. You're gonna see across the board. So these corners, forcing the receiver outside, down the sideline. This is what you want to do. You want to use the sideline to your advantage as an extra defender. You're gonna see, the nickel and the safety, coming down on these curls, and you have Jalen Hurts rolling right, and we get a nice pass breakup, potential interception, and it's just great play. So Caden Ellis here, again, to me, it looks like he's kind of reading Jalen Hurts, also kind of a bit of a spy, trying to get out here, make sure he can't run for anything easy. And we almost get an interception. So that's, pretty basic coverage, right? Nothing too complex to understand. We are just manned up across the board with deep safety help. Got another one here. We're going to be watching the Falcons kind of insert Bates into the box here defensively. You're going to see your apex defender, this nickel back kind of carry the inside vertical. You're going to see the cover three play out on the outside, and we just get beat. The best way to attack kind of cover three is to attack the vacated zone. We know this apex defender, this nickel back, he has the responsibility to carry the inside vertical in this cover three. And, the best way to attack it is just to run away from him. Because at the end of the day, his leverage is not going to allow him to be in perfect positioning to cover this all the way across the field. So let's go ahead and draw it up. First thing I want to kind of note is we're inserting Bates kind of into the box, and he's going to end up kind of drawing to the flat as this tight end releases. We're going to have our outside corners and our safety playing cover three. This is that big nickel back position. His responsibilities, he's responsible for the inside guy in a lot of different ways. So if the inside receiver were to come up and run an out, he's kind of on top of that because, there's a good chance here, since they're running a vertical route, AJ is going to be running with them. So AJ can't come down on anything. He has his own vertical responsibility. So when you get into these vertical routes and these vertical rules, that's when you're going to see, the inside release. It draws this apex defender, and he's carrying it as best he can across the field. And it's just a tough assignment, man. When you're in these positionings here, this is a lot of field that you have to cover. You don't have the angle. Now, the linebackers here, they're playing kind of the middle hook area, and they're also playing, kind of the check down area. And it just, it's essentially a one-on-one runaway. And the best way to prevent this sort of stuff is to get pressure. And we just don't get pressure here. It's this deep into the down. So think about how much time Jalen Hurts just had there. And he's throwing the ball right now without any pressure at all. And, this isn't like it's terrible positioning either. That's not, it's NFL wide open, but it's not like completely blown coverage. So it's just a tough one, It's hard to hold up long in coverage like that, and they just get us. So credit to them. All right, going to be looking at more cover three for the Falcons. Again, we are predominantly cover three teams. We run a lot of different stuff, but for the most part, on down-to-down basis, you're going to see a lot of cover three. Stuff that goes wrong here. We're going to talk about Troy Anderson and how I think he kind of gets done dirty, but I understand his technique, what he's trying to do. We're also going to talk a little bit more about defensive coverage rules and how we sort out receivers. What the nickel back is doing and how we use the nickel to prevent linebackers from having to carry receivers vertically, which is what happens here. We're also going to see before the snap we have Jesse Bates kind of in the two high structure, rotating him down into the box, inserting him here. So right here, we've got the three outside players, three deep players. So your two corners and your safety. You're going to look at your apex, your nickel here. So he is responsible for this player in a lot of different ways. So essentially the reason we do this is because, if we have this player taking off. He's going to carry AJ with him, and you don't want this player to have an easy release coming up and like on and out. So he's man up essentially at this point. He's responsible for the inside release typically. Nickelback is really, really big. So what they do here is they're going to send him kind of on this seam, kind of on this crosser, and D. Alford does a great job picking him up. On the other side of the field, what you're going to see is, we go down here, we have kind of the hook players, and we have someone peeling off for the tight end over here to kind of release this at the flat. And what it does is it kind of creates this space for Jalen Hurts to get upfield, make a big play. It's a tough one. I understand what Troy's technique here is. We'll talk about it from the end zone angle. He's trying to look around, see receivers around him, fill the zones. But unfortunately for him, as he's looking, Jalen Hurts kind of makes the move to get upfield, and it just leaves him in a terrible spot. So right here, he's looking, glancing. He's trying to, okay, there's a receiver here. I need to fill this zone. Okay, we're going to glance over here, make sure I'm filling it. Where's the receiver at? Oh, he's right here. I'm going to take a step this way. And unfortunately, Jalen Hurts is already up the pocket, and he already has the angle. There's nothing Troy can do at this point to recover. So it looks really bad on the TV copy. I'm not going to pretend it's not his fault. Like, it is a bad play by him. However, we can understand his technique, and we can talk process-wise and how he's trying to be good in coverage. And unfortunately, he gets burnt here by Jalen Hurts on the ground. Got another fun one here. You're going to see the Falcons coming out with the penny front, the 5 defensive linemen. They're able to get a sack. Matthew Judon working across the face of the guard on the stunt, able to get in there, able to get a big sack on Jalen Hurts as he's trying to step up and potentially run. And it's all enabled by what we do on the back end coverage-wise, where we're playing, that 3 over, 3 under defense, except this time we're going to be making a meg call. So man everywhere he goes. That's usually a call you're going to put for your star corners on their star receivers. You're saying we want our best versus your best no matter what the hell you're trying to do to make it not be so. So what we're going to see here is really the seam flat players also doing a great job. But we'll go ahead and talk about AJ because we're talking about that meg call. So right here, it's man press coverage. No matter what this player does, AJ's following him. On the back end, you're going to see cover 3. So, the kind of traditional zones here. And you have your insert players for the seam flat. So he's coming down, he's playing one flat. Ellis is playing the other seam flat area. And then Troy here is kind of the middle hook player. And since, this seam player gets carried, you're going to see them come up with kind of a inside vertical, attacking the seams, trying to get outside. It carries our seam flat player, and that means Troy's responsibility is kind of this running back as he kind of leaks out here towards the flat. So that's why you see Troy head that way. So it's a good play all across the board. Right here, Troy's making his read off the play action, carrying it to the flat. Seam here, does a great job getting on top of this tight end. There's not really a great angle for the throw here. And then this is kind of just your backside, run protect in case there's any deep crossers or anything as well. So we get the sack up front. It's a great play. This is just another variant of the coverages, right? We've seen quarter, half. We've seen kind of the box call with the quarters coverage. We've seen cover 3, and now we're getting kind of the fire zone defensive coverage rules that you see whenever you send 5 out of the penny front. So that's a fun one for sure, and we get a sack out of it. All right, we got the Falcons sending 0 in the short red zone. I like this call because when you're in the short red zone, there's no deep portion of the field, which is really the issue when you send 0 in a normal situation here is you don't have that over-the-top safety help. In this situation, there is no kind of deep portion of the field. You're in the short red zone. There's nothing really to protect deep. So they decided to get aggressive, send 6. We don't really get the pressure we'd like to get because it's 6 on 5, and when you have 6 on 5, you want to be, pressuring the quarterback almost immediately. But they do some good stuff here. What I want to focus on here is Ebiketie and what he's doing, which is he's essentially reading the running back, and when the running back goes out to release, he's manning up here. So, Ebiketie here, manning up on the running back when the running back goes out. So that kind of is his coverage here. And then on the other side, you kind of just got your receivers here manned up with the corners. So right here, there. So, we're sending everybody else on blitzes. We're sending them screaming up the middle. So this is kind of the danger zone here. You don't have that inside help. We also get to see Bates, though. He does a great job driving on this zone because they kind of clear out AJ, and they're trying to attack that vacated space with a quick curl. And we just get a good drive on the ball. So, this is a great call here. Right here, attacking where AJ is, knowing his back's going to be turned. Backing coverage is really good. And we just get a great pass breakup by Jesse Bates. Now, this is why he's the best safety in football. He makes so many plays every single game. He's good in run support. He's good at, breaking coverage rules to get big turnovers. And he's also good at just traditional play here. That's a phenomenal job. breaking that thing up in the red zone. One of his big plays this game that helped result in us winning this one. I really wanted to come in here and just highlight Matthew Judon dropping back into coverage, making some good plays in coverage. I like what he does to help out his secondary. They're in man coverage with single high, and Judon even gets some pressure on Hurts. Now, mind you, this is a completion for the Eagles, but it's a hard-earned one. We'll give them that. Hey, they get paid too. But I want to talk about Matthew Judon and what he does here and how he affects two different routes. Really, kind of messes up their receivers. Just being a physical presence, even when he's in coverage. And, it's just a phenomenal game from him. Does a great job here. Again, they make a good catch there at the end. They got us. We'll give it to them. So coverage-wise, we're going to see man coverage, manned up here kind of with the running back for Troy, manned up here with the seam player, and then we're manned up here outside. So, again, man across the board with that one over-the-top kind of safety help. Now, what I want to focus on here is what Judon does, because it's so fun to watch. This is just awesome. So right here, look at him. Hit him, redirect him, be physical. Helps your corner out. Right here, mess him up. Let's rewind that. Give him a good hit, help your corner out, make sure there's no shot he's releasing on this shallow route. Because what he's trying to do here is essentially just release underneath, get a quick hitter, kind of attack this vacated space. But Judon's there, gives him a big hit. You see Jalen Hurts, this is where he opens up to, not able to throw it where he wants. Judon gets in his face, gets some pressure, and they make a good play. They get a runaway into space. It's always tough when you get in these scramble drills because all the receiver has to do is basically run towards the quarterback, and if you're at your proper depth, they're going to have better leverage on you for these kind of run backs. So it's a tough one here. But again, this is just Matthew Judon making plays. Eagles also making plays, kind of beating us here. But hey, it's a hard-earned win. We'll give it to them. Got a fun one here. Falcons hitting the drop 8, only rushing 3, bailing out of the double A-mug blitz with the linebackers, leaving Troy kind of as a spy for Jalen Hurts. And the coverage is good. We just get beat with a better throw. And this is what I'm talking about where, it's easy to get mad about these plays, but realistically, we have good coverage here. They need a really good throw to beat us. We are in good position. We don't get beat because we're bad. We get beat because the offense is good. So let's talk about coverages here. And what you're going to see is Caden Ellis here. His read is basically if this running back stays in the block, I bet he's rushing. Since the running back releases to the flat, Caden Ellis is following. It's essentially man coverage, and whatever that running back do is kind of going to activate actions for him. Otherwise, across the field, you're going to have man coverage with everybody, and then 2 deep safeties. So this is what we're looking at coverage-wise. We do a good job kind of sorting out the routes. We just get beat with a better throw. So right here, now this is the thing with rushing 3. You give the quarterback a lot of time. This isn't, an easy route. It takes forever, but since we're only rushing 3, gives them time. He makes a great catch. It's a great throw. We're in good position to make a play on the ball. We just don't. It's tough. But again, hard-earned wins for the secondary. I thought the secondary really did a great job. Look at that. And that requires a really good ball. If that's more inside, we're able to make a play on it. If it's lower, we're able to make a play on it. We just get beat with a good ball. So give it to them. Again, give the other team their props when they deserve it. They beat us honest. The last play of the game, we got the big Jesse Bates interception. We're going to talk about it. It's a 3-over, 3-under scheme where you're sending 5 at Jalen Hurts. We get the Caden Ellis stunt, Lorenzo Carter kind of spin move, occupying 2 of the offensive linemen, forces Jalen Hurts into a quick decision. We also do a good job with our seam flat player coming downhill, taking away the flat, because in the situation that we don't play this flat as well as we do, Jalen Hurts might just decide to check it down and take the free yardage. But since we played as well as we do, Simmons does a great job booking it downfield, taking it away. Jalen Hurts forces the ball downfield. Such a big play. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Right here, H.A. Terrell, man coverage, we're saying you're not going to be the one to beat us. Other side of the field, we're going to kind of have the bones of cover 3 with Mike Hughes and Jesse Bates here. And then you're going to see the seam flat players. Again, I want to emphasize, Simmons does such a good job booking it downfield to match this running back. And that takes away the kind of the flash where, if Jalen Hurts saw it and it was wide open, maybe he just throws it. We're also going to see, another seam flat player here doing a good job kind of carrying this as it goes across. So the receiver here, you're going to see him kind of come up and come across. And we just do a really good job staying on top of it. And then the last thing we're going to see here is the tight end kind of coming up, releasing in the flat, and we do a good job matching it as well. So all across the board, great job by the defense. We're going to talk about Jesse Bates right here. at the top, reading this route. We're also going to talk about Simmons here. He's already on top of the flat. So Jalen Hurts, he doesn't want to throw this because it's not a good game. But if Simmons plays this more slowly, maybe he takes the check down, maybe we don't get the interception. And now right here, Jesse Bates is all over this. He knows he's going to jump this before the route's even really breaking. So it's a great job by him. It's a great interception by the best safety in football. This guy is so good, and we're going to need him and Simmons to come up big like they did on this final play to beat the Chiefs.